Joining us now is one of the other candidates, the Green Party nominee, Dr. Jill Stein. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate it. So, as a result of the debate, have you had people coming forward to you now saying, wow, after watching that, I'm now willing to consider your candidacy?
Absolutely. And I have to say, to most of the American public, this was no surprise at all. You know, there's a large number of what are called the double haters, that is, people who will not vote for either of these two zombie candidates that are being rammed down our throats. So we've had enormous interest in our campaign, especially many people who will no longer show up for the Democratic Party. We saw this in the Democratic primary in New York State, for example, a couple months back, where 83% of Democrats voted with their feet by not coming out to vote. So there have been enormous defections in the run-up to this, and I think what happened last night just reinforced that. So yes, we are experiencing an incredible wave of support and interest right now because the American people feel like they are the ones who are locked out last night. And they've been locked out of this election and really deserve to know who their choices are and what their positions are. This is why we were fighting, because we are on the ballot already for the majority of voters. And voters deserve to know information about their candidates. And the debates really ought to include all ballot qualified candidates. And I think there are just 3 or 4 of us right now, including Trump and Biden. So it's not like this is a huge number.
Let me ask you about another candidate, Robert Kennedy Jr. What do you make of his candidacy?
You know, I think he deserves to be heard. He's on his way to being ballot qualified. You know, so he's a candidate. You know, I think our system is supposed to be about presenting options to voters and letting voters make their choices. I don't agree with RFK on most policies, but I think, you know, that's for voters to decide. And it's really the obligation of our system to present those options. You know, the League of Women Voters quit in disgust from managing the debates, I think it was in 1988, saying that basically this had become a fraud being perpetrated on the American voter, and they were not going to participate in that anymore. I think we could go a long way to do some damage control here by allowing voters to understand who the ballot qualified candidates are and allowing them to hear from those, even RFK.
Did you feel sorry for Joe Biden last night?
I sure did. I felt very badly for him. You know, I felt like it was embarrassing. It was humiliating. You know, I felt worse for him, I think, than anything else. But, you know, this is really a tragedy for the American voter. And it began long before tonight because the Democratic Party had really shut down the democratic process. You know, I would call it an anti-democratic party right now because it kept its own candidates off the ballot. You know, it forced RFK, for example, to run as an independent by, you know, ensuring that he would not be given a hearing on the ballot as well. So, you know, the Democrats have really cooked their own goose here, and they are extremely, what should we say, they want to blame someone else. And now they're blaming it on Joe Biden, but that catastrophe was really a matter of their own creation. We could see this coming. You know, at least 4 years ago, we saw that Joe Biden was beginning to have some cognitive issues, and they have been, you know, really becoming quite extreme. So to have protected him until now was a terrible mistake. And it's not only that, but you know, it's also that the Democratic Party is throwing its competitors off the ballot. You know, they're actually advertising right now for spies and infiltrators for our campaign in order to really, in a very underhanded and despicable way, to silence their competition. We actually now have lawsuits. They announced back in March that they would be hiring an army of lawyers to try to basically nitpick the petition drives of the independent and third-party candidates. So this is really a disaster for the American people. We deserve to have a democracy, especially at a time like this.
Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.